Hey, welcome to our class of Tuesday Night Beer School with me, Chad of Chad's Beer Reviews. There's my credentials in case you need them. So I thought I've been skipping all around, picking random styles. I'm not going in any order whatsoever. And I want to do something completely different this week. So we are doing 29B Fruit and Spice Beer. Overall impression, a tasteful union of fruit, spice, and beer, but still recognizable as a beer, which means not like a flavored seltzer or something like that, a flavored malt beverage, alcohol pop, whatever you want to call it. The fruit and spice character should be evident but in balance with the beer, not so forward as to suggest an artificial product. Again, not an FMB. So let's jump down to the comments and all that stuff. All right, so here we go. The description of the beer is critical for evaluation. Judges should think more about the declared concept than trying to detect each individual ingredient. Balance, drinkability, and execution of the theme are the most important deciding factors. The specialty ingredients should complement the original style and not overwhelm it. Base style attributes will be different after the addition of fruit and spices. Do not expect the beer to taste identical to the unadulterated base style, obviously. Now, this is for homebrew competitions. We can skip that. The vitals all depend on the underlying base beer, but the fruit will often be reflected in the color. And then commercial examples. A lot of these, I don't even know if they're even made anymore. I'm kind of surprised they didn't include this beer. Komes Raspberry Porter, 8.5 ABV, brewed with raspberry juice, lagered with vanilla and chili peppers. And they go in a little bit more description on the back. And it's hard to gauge the freshness date on here, so I'm thinking it's July 2022, which would make this about a 6 month old, a little less than 6 months. All right, so we always start with aroma when we're judging beer. Yeah, I'm getting raspberry. This, by the way, the base style is a Baltic Porter, so yeah, I definitely get like the dark malts in there, slightly chocolatey. Although that chocolate might also be the vanilla beans that it's aged on, so that would be the spice, and also chili pepper. That chili pepper is quite faint. It's almost like chili powder or something. It's interesting how raspberry and chili peppers go so well together. So yeah, I mostly get raspberry. I definitely get the underlying, kind of base brew, the vanilla adding so it's kind of implying some kind of sweetness, and then that spice is, real faint, but it is there. I will say for 8.5 ABV, no alcohol, none. So pretty good smelling beer. Let's see how the specs say it should be. Aroma varies by base style. The fruit and spice character should be noticeable in the aroma, which it is. However, note that some fruit and spices, for example, raspberry, cherry, cinnamon, ginger, have stronger aromas and more distinct than others, obviously. Allow for a range of fruit and spice character and intensity from subtle to aggressive. Interesting. Hop aroma may be lower than in the base style to better show the specialty character. Yeah, I really didn't pick up hops on here at all. It's fine. Specialty ingredients should add an extra complexity, but not be so prominent as to unbalance the resulting presentation. I'm actually thinking about starting pretty high on this one, or moderately high. I mean, good combination of raspberry and the underlying Baltic Porter. So I'm going to start with a 10, and I would have no problem bumping that up or down by 1 or 2 points. So the appearance. Well, here's me pouring it into the glass, and you can see it's probably a brown hue, maybe with a slight kind of ruby color to it. Pours to a nice, thumb width, kind of dark tan, light brown foam. As far as I can tell, it seems to be pretty clear. It's not like muddy or murky or anything like that. I mean, it's dark, so it's kind of hard to tell. Actually, what they do at homebrew competitions is they bring a flashlight like this, and they will literally shine it. Well, they do it on their bottom because they usually have the plastic cups. But yeah, you can see that flashlight is not shining through at all. I'm pointing this directly at the camera, and I mean you can see some ruby on the edges, but yeah, so it's pretty dark, lovely, ruby magenta kind of color, but otherwise it's probably more, it's like brownish red. Varies by base style and special ingredients. Obviously, letter color beer should show distinctive ingredient colors, including in the head, which would be if it's like a blueberry blonde ale, it's going to be purple or lavender kind of color. The color of fruit and beer is often lighter than the flesh of the fruit itself, may take on slightly different shades. Variable clarity, although haze is generally undesirable. Some ingredients may impact head retention. Yep, that's true. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to score as far as what the guide is going by here because they give you such a range. But I'm going to go the full 3 out of 3 on this one. Now we get to the best part, the taste. Cheers. Like I said, I've had this beer many times before, but it's been a while. It's been like 2.5, almost 3 years since I had it. So it's kind of like, revisiting an old friend or something. These flavors are quite familiar. So I will say that the raspberry is most prominent, and they do make a point of saying raspberry juice, not like raspberry puree or actual, fresh or frozen raspberries. It does have a kind of juicy kind of flavor to it, like just like an ordinary breakfast juice kind of raspberry flavor, almost like a fruit punch if it was just raspberry. And then in the back, I'm getting a dark maltiness from the Baltic Porter, the base brew, and slight chocolatey flavor, or well, really it's vanilla flavor from the vanilla beans, and slight sweetness. Yeah, so raspberry, I would say raspberry is definitely the most prominent, with the vanilla chocolate underlying base brew style. And then in the aftertaste, or like not even like so much of a taste as more of a sensation, is that chili pepper. It's lingering in the throat, giving it like a little warming sensation. I would not go into this and call it like a really spicy beer. I've had other pepper beers where there's just, it's like drinking like carbonated hot sauce. This is nothing like that at all. This is exactly what they're marketing it as a Baltic Porter plus raspberry juice and some vanilla beans and some chili. So I would not call this decadent, not at all. It comes off like a nice Baltic Porter. By the way, I am getting a nice toffee character on here. Again, that's from the base malt. To me, it's a really good balance of the Baltic Porter base style plus that raspberry juice, the vanilla, and the chili. My only complaint is that the chili is a little too subtle. Like I said, it's hard to tell exactly how old this bottle is. I think it's from July of last year, but maybe it's from January. So it's somewhere between a year and 6 months old. And pepper tends to fade pretty quickly. So if I was drinking this blind, I might not notice it. Although I notice like the warmth and the aftertaste, but a lot of people might mistakenly attribute that to the alcohol. I mean, it's 8.5, so it's it's strong, but it's not like a beast or anything. Flavor varies by base style. As with aroma, a distinctive fruit and spice flavor should be noticeable, which they are. It may range in intensity from subtle to aggressive. Yeah, so I wouldn't call the raspberry aggressive, but it's definitely forward. And the chili is subtle. The fruit character should not be so artificial or inappropriately overpowering as suggests a spiced fruit drink. Again, like they're saying, not an FMB. Or like a hard soda or something like that. Hop bitterness, flavor, malt flavors, alcohol content, and fermentation byproducts, such as esters, should be appropriate to the base style, but be harmonious and balanced with the distinctive fruit and spice flavors present. Again, this is the Baltic Porter, which is one of those weird ale lager hybrids. It's almost like an imperial stout, but it's like lagered, so it's more of a cleaner taste, less sweet than like a traditional imperial stout. But I mean, we'll get to Baltic Porter eventually. Fruit generally add flavor, not sweetness, since fruit sugars usually fully ferment, thus lightening the flavor and drying out the finish. However, residual sweetness is not necessarily a negative characteristic unless it has a raw, unfermented quality. Some ingredients may add sourness, bitterness, and tannins, which must be balanced in the resulting flavor profile. So yeah, I would not call this beer, I would not call it like especially sweet. There is some sweetness to it, yes, from the raspberry juice and also from the vanilla beans. How am I going to score this? I mean, it's really there for everything that the style guidelines say it should be. Like I said, that spice, the actual chili. I mean, vanilla is technically a spice too, so it doesn't. It seems to be like a little short in the spice department, but as the fruit is on point. So I'm going to go, I think 16, maybe 17. I'll say 16 for now. Mouthfeel. I always forget to mention this until the end. You know what? Let's top this off, and you guys can see it coming out of the bottle, the actual color. So it's like a dark amber, reddish, brown, fairly clear. Again, glad I gave it a 3 out of 3 on appearance. So like I said, it's a strong beer, 8.5, but because it's a Baltic Porter and not an Imperial Stout, it is not some thick, sticky, viscous fluid. It's I'd probably call it like medium full body, and also it's actually fairly highly carbonated, so I'd probably call it, like, again, medium to medium high carbonation, whereas Imperial Stouts tend to be like, you know, medium low or straight up low. In fact, I'd probably say medium body. It's not thick. It's actually really drinkable for 8.5. I don't really pick up on the alcohol, and I think the warming that I'm getting is from the chili, not really the alcohol. I mean, unless you were drinking this at room temperature. But yeah, I think it's actually really drinkable. Nice kind of dessert beer. Although this is strong enough that you could, and actually, and I have, if you check my Untapped, I've had this beer like with steak, with chipotle. It's a good one, Mexican food. I think it would go really well with probably Thai food. Anything with like that sweet, spicy kind of chili flavor. Yeah. Although you don't score beers based on the food pairings. So let's see what the specs should be for mouthfeel. How much you want to guess? It says varies by base style. Varies by base style. Fruit often decreases body and makes a beer seem lighter on the palate. I agree with that. I mean, it seems like a little bit light for a Baltic Porter, especially 8.5. Some smaller and darker fruits may add a tannic depth, but this astringency should not overwhelm the base beer. I do not get tannins or astringency at all, which is really nice. SHVs, spice and vegetables, may increase or decrease body. Some may add a bit of astringency, although a raw spice character is undesirable. Yeah. So it's it's a perfect balance of mouthfeel and the flavor and all that. Very, very drinkable. I'm impressed, actually, by the drinkability. So I'm going to go pretty high on this one. I'm going to go the full 5 out of 5 on mouthfeel. Overall impression, I'm pretty impressed. My only major complaint, like I said, is that the chili is a little subtle, but otherwise, it's pretty tasty, versatile, really drinkable. Just an interesting flavor combination. So overall impression, I'm gonna say 8. I could even go 9 on that. So it's a total score of 30. Oh, there we go, 42. Yeah. All right. So as far as stylistic accuracy, I think this actually is a classic example. I would not call it flawless, again, because I think the chili is a little too mild. I don't know if I'd go as far as say wonderful, but yeah, it's really good. So it falls in the excellent range. If I was, my feedback would just be, up that chili pepper a little bit more. And that's how you grade a fruit and spice beer. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I will try to get back to you. And I will see you guys next Tuesday for another class. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
Somebody brewed it, Chad just reviewed it. Thanks for watching Chad's Beer Reviews. Trust me, the next episode will be a lot better.